Here is That Which Is with John Roger. That Which Is presented by MSIA, the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness, a movement dedicated to awakening the spiritual heart within each of us. John Roger is the founder and spiritual advisor of MSIA, the founder and president of the Institute for Individual and World Peace, founder of the Heartfelt Foundation, and other organizations dedicated to improving people's lives. John Roger is a best-selling author, and he has been teaching and conducting seminars for many years. Right after John Roger speaks, we'll tell you how you can obtain more information about MSIA.
There are quite a few different types of spiritual realities, and people who are studying spiritual paths really get it confused with religious paths and paths that churches take. And so what I want to talk about is not those things. And what I'd like you to do is to abandon that concept for just a little while, put it on hold, because I want to explain some things to you of what takes place in the spiritual realities inside. And if you're trying to do it according to some scripture, you're going to miss it. But if you do it according to what's going on inside of you as I start to talk about it, then you may find out exactly what I'm talking about. It's not going to make sense. It's going to ramble, going to flow, it's going to jam up, it's going to break loose, it's going to stop, it's going to restart, it's going to do all of those things here. And it's going to do a lot of those things inside of you. First of all, let me identify man's position in the field of spirituality. We sit right in the middle of God's creation of polarities. On one side, we have God in the great kingdom, and that God you can call any name you want to. And then in the lower polarity, below man, we have what's known as the Lord of negativity. And I'll just tell you this one because it's been called the devil and Satan and Lucifer. Very few people know that that one who's called the devil and Satan was also called the son of the morning star, or the firstborn. So when you're starting to put down negative principalities, you better watch out, because you're putting down something that God also created. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to explain the relative position for them. Inside of us as human beings, we have a tremendous type of creation in us called both good and evil, if we want to use those words. And I'm going to just to show you polarities. The Lord of existence, or the God of existence, created us in the affection of the Lord's affection, or we're created in God's image. And if we take the word affection and say, we are created in God's love, and therefore we are God's love, and we are the very same essence of that, then we get to find out that we have something very special in this area called the spiritual being. Inside of us resides an energy level that I'm just going to call spirit. And you can call it life, you can call it the soul, and all of that's going to be real fine. Psychologically, you could just call it awareness, and that would be fine. But that it exists, I'm just going to testify to it, and maybe you will also if you're alive. That awareness has a unique place in this creation. And here on earth is the only place that we can have both dualities of the positive, of God the righteous, and the negative, and I guess I should say God the unrighteous, or the negative God, residing in us at exactly the same time. Our nature is a positive nature. Our ability to deal with what is being given to us by God through the Spirit, or the essence of life, is where we're going to run into the difficulty. God so loves each one of us that without qualification, He instilled within us two premises that make it difficult for us on this planet. One is will and the other is thought. That we have a will power and a thought power. When we have will power and we are exercising the will, we are doing God's work. We are following the will of the Father. When we have thought power, we have the possibility to entertain negativity by way of doubts, negative thinking, ideas of unworthiness, ideas that everything's wrong, that's getting worse. So in here, we have the ability, when residing within a loving of God, to use the will that is part of God's energy to override negativity just through sheer willpower. What does that look like to anybody who doesn't like what you're doing? Well, it's called stubbornness. What is it inside of you? Determination. How are they going to know the difference? They won't, unless you tell them. So as soon as you tell them that you are just following a determined path of the will of God, then what you are saying is, I am following the loving in my heart, and I don't have a way to describe it to you. But in comes the thought, and it can tell you every terrible, bad thing that you have ever done or ever thought of doing, and can't tell you any good thing that you could have done. While we're in the thought field, we judge. We judge God, the Creator, God inside of us that is the Creator, through the negative God inside of us who is the judger and the accuser of our ability to be God-like. And it accuses us continuously. You're no good, you're not worthwhile, you can't keep your marriage together, you can't keep your children out of jail, you can't keep a job, there's no hope for you, it's getting worse, and you're going, who needs that? And there it is inside of you. And so to sit down and find the proof that the thought gives you is very easy, because it also supplies you the evidence called, look at your life. And you look back and you go, there's that and that and that and that, and so the evidence just stacks up. So in this one hand, we have the tremendous weight that there is no good in the world. And by saying that, there's no God in the world. On the other hand, somebody comes along once in a while, and they reach out and they touch you, and something goes zip, and the heart comes open, and you go, what is this? It scares me. In the moment the heart opens, the thought comes in and attempts to shut it down. And we sit in this perplexing spiritual position of knowing that it was open and standing and denying it. And the thought in this world is stronger than the will of the heart. And so the thought wins. There's more evidence then, see, it really didn't open. And the thought is more powerful because it could close it down. This light that is shining here in these corners could be looked at as God shining light into me and to you. And what I do with that is